Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Would I be the jerk if I told my mom to stop calling my money her money? After that, don't be a Karen if you don't want to look like a Karen. And after that, entitled mom insists I change my dog's name to not confuse her son. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to take anyone's money. Oh, I'll find a way somehow, Mr. Reddit. I always do. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Would I be the jerk if I told my mom to stop calling my money her money? I'm a 20-year-old man, and while I live at home, I am a full-time student on a full-ride scholarship. Because of how the scholarship is, I can't work too much or else they'll take the scholarship from me. And I'm currently out of a job because 1. Lockdown, and 2. My mom is autoimmune, so I can't work a physical job at the moment. I want to add that my mom is sweet and does a lot for me, and I don't want this to turn into dissing her or calling her a bad parent. It's just this money thing that's been rough. So my bank account is linked to hers, so she can add or withdraw money, and she can see every time I spend my money on anything. I also have a savings account, and I'm really good about my money and don't spend nearly anything on myself. I got my stimulus check and split the money 60-40. 60% of my savings, 40% for myself. I also have money in my account from the previous job I worked. She has gifted me money for my birthday and Christmas before, but other than that, I don't ask her for money or anything else. Well, I decided to treat myself since my boyfriend gifted me his old gaming laptop and buy Minecraft on it, $26. Second thing I bought all year, and the first thing I bought was for myself on my birthday. And as it's the holiday season, I commissioned some art for my boyfriend as a surprise, which was $35. $25 for the art and a $10 tip, as I felt like the artist was undercharging and their work is really nice. So in total, I've spent $61 all year. $81 if you want to count my birthday gift. Later that day, I walk into the kitchen and she says, "Why are you spending money?" I was really confused and explained I just bought a game and my boyfriend's Christmas gift. She laughs and says, "All right, but don't go spending more of my money, okay?" I just kind of smiled and mumbled out an "okay" and huddled back into my room. It really irked me, as this isn't the first time she said something along the lines of my money belonging to her. When I worked at a job and spent money, she also said, "Stop spending my money." And when my boyfriend visited last year, she also made a comment on spending so much of her money. My grandma also sends money every Christmas, and my mom has openly said she's taking her cut for my gift from her. Which, like, okay, but ask before you take that. I'm fine sharing, just ask. I don't feel like my stimulus money is hers, you know? And it's not like she didn't get a stimulus check either. I don't want to be a jerk. It really annoys me when she acts entitled to my money. And if she needed the money, she knows all she has to do is ask and I'll help. I'll be an adult bringing it up. Keep calm and cool, but I just want to know if I'd be a jerk for even bringing it up. This happened about a week ago, and I don't know if it's too late to talk about it. Edit. Thank you for all of the responses. I really do appreciate the advice, and shout out to the people who are going through similar situations, and congrats on scholarships. Someone in the comments asked for clarification on a couple things. So, 1. I do not pay rent, but I have offered when I was 18 and when we moved again. My mom has refused both times as long as I keep my scholarships and keep up with school. I also help with yard work, moving things, anything she needs labor-wise whenever she asks. Should have clarified on the account. I'm attached to her account, not her attached to my account. I'm not sure if that changes much in regards to transferring money to a new private account. This joint account was made when I was 16. 3. Some people were worried that she has withdrawn money before. She has not, unless she's explicitly asked. I can also see how much she draws out when she does. Edit 2. I'm sure people will continue commenting on this for a while, but I got the groove. Currently working on setting up my own bank account and practicing what I'm gonna say to my mom. I appreciate the concern and the feedback, and thank y'all very much. Well, what would you do in this situation? Would you say anything to your mom about how she's acting or not? Please let us know. My mom tried taking my money once. Last mistake she ever made before her untimely demise. Yes. Don't be a Karen if you don't want to look like a Karen. So I remembered a story of malicious compliance as recounted to me by a good friend of mine. My friend is a hairdresser by trade and works at a very upscale salon. I go to her myself and can attest to her being amazing. Anyway, this salon had one customer who had been passed around from hairdresser to hairdresser, bullying every single new one she saw. This woman was an absolute terror. She made 3, count 'em, 3 separate hairdressers cry. The only reason she was still a client of the salon was that her mom was friends with the owner. She was a relatively young gal, maybe in her mid-20s, with very long bottle blonde hair, past her waist, that she insisted to everyone who wasn't her hairdresser was her natural color. It was very much not. She went to the salon religiously so no one would ever find out her secret shame. She blamed her hairdresser for all of her hair problems, many of which were the results of heavy bleaching and how much heat she used on her hair and her refusal to follow care instructions, and was never satisfied with anything. So everything shuts down in our state, and she screams at my friend to come do her hair for her because she can't have her boyfriend finding out she's not a natural blonde. Anyway, my friend refuses, and despite Karen's threats, she knows that the salon owner knows she's too darn good at her job and has too loyal a customer base to fire her, so she thinks no more of it until a few months later when the salon reopens, and lo and behold, who should appear in the appointment book but Karen? So the day arrives and Karen shows up with her hair dyed jet black, and not very well dyed either. My friend is shocked because Karen's always made such a big deal about being a blonde, and how even though she gets her hair bleached, she really is a natural blonde and just enhancing her hair color a little. My friend asks Karen what they were doing that day, and Karen demands to be made blonde again. My friend is like, okay, that's going to be a process, because this jerk has used black box dye, which is really hard to get out. For those of you who don't know, getting dyed dark hair to blonde is usually something done in stages, so the hair has a chance to recover a bit between bleaching sessions to avoid breakage. Karen is like, no, I am going to be blonde when I leave here today, or I am telling your boss that you see clients at home sometimes and getting you fired. My friend sometimes does friends' hair at home for a lower price because she's a sweetheart, which her boss is fine with. And it's your fault I had to dye my own hair this color because my boyfriend would have seen my roots if I hadn't done something. My friend is tired of Karen's BS at this point, but it's a slow day and she has time. She explains to Karen that if she takes her blonde all in one go, her hair will be fried and she'll likely end up having to lose a lot of length. Karen scoffs and rolls her eyes and is like, that's never happened before, and my hair's so healthy, I'm sure it will be fine if you don't mess it up. Friend recommends at least using Olaplex, a product that helps prevent damage. Karen says she thinks it's a scam to overcharge customers and won't pay for it. Cue malicious compliance. Friend is like, okay, but makes several coworkers be witnesses that this is what Karen is asking for after friend explained the risks. Friend meanwhile has formulated a fiendish scheme. After that, friend goes through the whole process of bleaching Karen's hair. She has to do it like 4 times or something, and she checks with Karen after each one that she's absolutely sure she has to be all the way back to champagne blonde by the end of the day, and recommends stopping at some of the nice auburn or strawberry blonde shades in between for now. But Karen insists her boyfriend hates her hair anything but her natural blonde. My friend knows she will refuse because when has a Karen ever decided at the 11th hour to be reasonable? With each bleaching, there's more breakage, and Karen's hair feels worse. My friend knows Karen's hair won't survive this, but Karen absolutely refuses to let her stop. Eventually, at long last, my friend manages to get Karen's hair to the required level, and so she starts to rinse Karen's hair. It starts breaking off in her hand. The length of her hair is melted, fried, destroyed. My friend gets the bleach out and immediately conditions the ever-loving heck out of it while explaining to Karen that exactly what my friend said would happen has happened. Karen says she must be exaggerating and insists it's fine. Friend wraps what's left of Karen's hair in a towel and takes her back over to the station where she shows Karen the problem. Everything past a little bit beyond her chin length is pretty much gone. Karen shrieks and accuses my friend of everything under the sun. Incompetence, operating without a license. She most definitely has her license, a personal vendetta, etc., etc. My friend eventually calms her down and tells her she'll do her best to cut it so it looks decent for free. She even has the perfect cut in mind. It'll suit Karen perfectly. My friend gives Karen the sharpest, most beautifully cut angled bob you've ever seen. I've seen it thanks to my friend showing me Karen's Insta, that despite the incredible precision and skill showcased, is unequivocally and perfectly the Karen. Blown out and styled to, "Can I speak to your manager?" perfection, Karen starts crying because the cut makes her look 40. She wants to speak to the manager. My friend gets the manager and Karen throws a fit, threatening to sue, and how dare they, and how his employees do this to mock her, and so on and so forth, while my friend stands there looking completely innocent. The boss then asks friend her side of the story, and the other hairdressers back her up and say that the cut is just her trying to make the best of what's left of her hair. Even the boss by now is sick of Karen's BS, and Karen is forced to pay the huge sum of money owed for how much time was spent bleaching her hair, much of which is gone now, and leaves swearing never to come back. Her boyfriend, a cop, calls up later and threatens to assault my friend for doing that to Karen's hair against his wishes, and my friend tells him if he tries anything, she's going to tell his superiors and every news agency in the city. Nothing further happens, but he eventually dumps Karen because he doesn't like girls with short hair. Edit. Unfortunately, Karen's Karen-ness cannot be attributed to her boyfriend's influence. She was like that long before they got together. She had been going to that hair salon since she was a teenager. The older stylists who had been there a while told my friend stories of her antics and had always been a terror. I think this is more a case of birds of a feather than a girl scared into acting unreasonable. Have you ever dyed your hair before? And if so, what color? Please let us know. Craziest color wins a get out of jail free card. Entitled mom insists I change my dog's name to not confuse her son. This is so ridiculous and happened like 10 minutes ago. I couldn't walk home fast enough to get Wi-Fi and share this. Background info. I live in Argentina. I'm an advanced student in English teaching. I have 4 dogs and one of them is named Monkey. Before lockdown was enforced and made mandatory back in March, I used to tutor a kid who was 5 in English. He would be starting English classes at school this year, and his mom, the entitled mom henceforth, had wanted him to have a head start in comparison to the other kids in his class. Entitled mom had said that kid was insecure about starting school and wanted him to feel accomplished and smart by being ahead of his classmates. Weird logic, but okay. She was paying me good money, and the kid actually showed an interest in the language and all the activities I did with him, so tutoring him was actually enjoyable for both of us. When lockdown was enforced, we had to suspend the tutoring sessions because public transport was unavailable and they lived in the other corner of the city. Fast forward to today, I took my dog Monkey for a walk today and we ran into entitled mom and kid at the park, and kid was thrilled to meet one of my dogs at last. I had talked to him about them before and showed him pics. He was very polite and asked what her name was and how old she was and if he could pet her, etc. When I told him that my dog's name was Monkey, he was thrilled to let me know that he knew what that word meant because they had learned about different animals in his classes during the year. Entitled mom was less thrilled to know that I had named my dog as another animal. She started questioning me, although it felt more like an interrogation about why would I do that. If I did it just to show off my skills in English, if I was aware it could be confusing, and so on. I asked her what she meant by confusing, thinking that she meant by the gender of the dog. I find it silly that people assume animals' gender by their names, but it happens. But she said, and I'm quoting, "Why would you try to confuse my son by naming a dog as another animal? He's trying hard to learn things in English because you prompted him to, and now whenever he hears the word monkey, he will think of your dog." I tried to explain to her why I had chosen that name for my dog, but she then went on about how I should change the dog's name to something more dog-like, so kids like her son wouldn't feel confused about animals. She was very insistent on names I should call my dog, even telling her son to try calling Monkey other names to see if she responded. And I almost told her I could probably call her entitled mom's name instead, because she's a jerk after all, no confusion there. But I restrained because her kid was there, and I didn't want to deal with her getting all angry at me in public. Kid said he liked Monkey's name because it's unique and suits her because of her curly tail, like a monkey cartoon, and I told him it was actually one of the reasons I had chosen that name for her. Entitled mom realized there was no win for her in this issue and quickly took her kid and left. Monkey and I actually shared a look for a moment, and I took it as a cue to come home already. Edit to add, someone in the PMs asked me, aside from the curly tail, what other reasons I had to give Monkey that name. To be honest, when I brought her home, I was on a binge for anything Arctic monkeys related for some reason, so there's also that. Also, I'm in love with all the comments sharing silly, funny, interesting pet names that they all know just fit perfectly. Do you have any pets? And if so, what are their names? Please let us know. You think that's bad? I've got a lizard named Cat Dog. Am I the jerk for wanting my son to be the ring bearer at my wedding? I'm male, 29, and my fiance is female, 28, and I are getting married next week. Don't worry, everybody is going to be required to get tested and we will be socially distanced with masks. My son, male, 6, is from a previous relationship and I have 50-50 custody over him. Me and his mom are on friendly terms and she's okay with him going to my wedding. The problem is, my fiance had told her niece, female 9, that she could be the flower girl. When my fiance's nephew, male 8, found out, he became extremely upset and threw a fit. My sister-in-law demanded that her son be a ring bearer or she will not be attending the wedding. My fiance is extremely close to her sister and was upset that she would not be coming to the wedding. So she also became upset and sided with her sister, stating in her words, "This is my wedding, and it happens by my terms or not at all." You can imagine how upset I was at that statement. I have a bit of a temper, so I left before this turned into a worse all-out screaming match. I'm unsure on what to do because I want my future wife to be happy at her wedding, but I don't believe excluding my son is a viable option. So Reddit, would I be the jerk if I told my wife that my son is going to be the ring bearer to my wedding no matter what her spoiled sister thinks? Edit. I've offered my sister-in-law to have her son as the second ring bearer, and she essentially laughed in my face and told me, "If you're not going to make sacrifices to be part of our family, then you don't deserve to be marrying my sister." Edit 2. I'm going to have a talk with my fiance tonight to determine if this is something we can move past or if this will be the end of our relationship, because I will make it abundantly clear that my son is the most important thing in my life, and if she does not respect, she will not be the stepmother to my child. For your information, the statement, "This is my wedding and it happens by my terms or not at all," happened during an intense argument between me and her where I also said some questionable things, so I don't want her to be pictured as a completely unreasonable person. She also treats my son well and doesn't treat him or I horribly, as some of you are suggesting. Update. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and messaged me. Your answers were insightful and helpful. Now on to the update. I've just finished having a conversation with my fiance. She was extremely distraught and crying as she felt horrible for the way she treated me and my son. She said that I would be better off without her. She said she had just been so stressed from the wedding and work that night she lost it, and she knows that is not an excuse. I explained to her that the way she treated my son was unacceptable and that for me to be confident in our relationship going forward, she needs to be absolutely sure that this would not happen again, and I would like to uninvite her sister from the wedding. The only reason I feel comfortable with this is because she has been nothing but lovely to my kid. She agreed, and now my son is the ring bearer and my best man, thanks to your suggestions, along with my brother. Her sister will not be attending our wedding, and the niece will arrive with my fiance's parents instead. I also had a conversation with my son without the presence of my girlfriend to know what he thought about her. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Lexi, my fiance, is super pretty and nice, and she makes really good chicken nuggets." I agree. My fiance and my future in-laws have also decided to go no contact with my future sister-in-law due to what she tried to pull. Again, I would like to thank everyone who responded or DM'd me. Your support means a lot. Well, what would you have done in this situation? Would you have given in to the sister-in-law's demands or not? Please let us know. Hurry up and finish so I can go watch some Bridezilla. I'm really in the mood to binge on it now for some reason. It's past your checkout time and you have to leave. Okay. I work in a production facility that's heavily regulated by FDA rules and regulations. One of them is that anything that deviates from SOP has to be investigated. Strict deadlines have to be met, and although extensions are allowed, it has to be due to unforeseen circumstances. I've worked here for close to 10 years, and I have a unique position that only I do what I do. I do it well and need little if any oversight as long as I meet weekly goals. I also step in to help review investigations and route them in the system for closure when needed. I'm hourly and refuse to work from home since I'm not getting paid for it. Plus, home is family time. I like to track my work through email, so if something unusual is requested of me, I ask people to send me an email so I can make sure to do it. Cast. We've got me, and we've got the new associate supervisor as Jerk. P.S. Not my supervisor, but outranks me. Jerk. It's Friday and past your clock out time. What are you doing here? Me. Helping out a coworker who had to leave on time. Jerk. HR wants us to reduce overtime, and there's no reason why you should be here. Me. Don't worry about it. I'm sure my supervisor will address it if it's a problem. Jerk. You're just running the clock. As a supervisor, I know a lot of things that you guys are not aware of. I think you need to clock out and leave. Me. I'm waiting for an investigation to be signed off so I can close it. Well, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency. Me. Do me a favor. Send me an email so I can put it on my to-do list. Fine. By the way, you will get nowhere in life if you need simple reminders for things like, go home. Email read something to the effect of, due to recent HR directive, personnel are asked to reduce overtime hours. You are directed to leave within 15 minutes as per our conversation at 5:30 p.m. today. Me. Okay. Cue malicious compliance. I forwarded email to my supervisor and left. I get a frantic call Saturday asking me what the heck I was thinking having an investigation go overdue. I say Jerk told me to leave. Please see email I forwarded you. I get a call back begging me to run in and close the investigation which literally would have taken me less than 5 minutes, and that includes a quick email check. I say sure, but since rules are rules, I invoke call-in rules. Instead of 1.5 my time, I get double pay for 4 hours minimum. My supervisor was ecstatic that I could go in, that she immediately said yes. Took my family with, had them sit in the car as I popped in, click, click, close, left, and went for a nice family lunch. Jerk got written up, as is the rule for causing an investigation to go overdue, and it directly affected his raise and bonus. Oh, and he never talks to me. That alone is a huge win. What a jerk, right? Am I the jerk for accidentally leaving a pizza box in a friend's flat? So this is an incident that happened about 18 months ago that destroyed a long-term friendship. I've been thinking about it a lot and want to know if I'm the jerk. I played Dungeons & Dragons with my best friend, his wife, and a few other friends. We played in the conference room of a hotel, but sometimes had to play in their flat if the room was booked up. This happened around Christmas of 2018. Their flat was incredibly small, and we struggled to fit everyone in. We ordered pizza, and after I finished, I put my empty box under my seat to keep it out of the way. I accidentally forgot about it. I never had before. Next game night, we played in a storage area instead, which was much bigger and better. However, my friend said that his wife had banned us from playing in the flat because someone had left a pizza box after the last session. This was said in a jovial tone, with a little hint of seriousness, as if it were a joke. I suspected myself, but nothing was directed at me. It was said to the group as a whole. We all laughed about it and then moved on. The pizza box incident was never mentioned again. After this, his wife rarely came to the games. In February of 2019, I got engaged and organized a celebratory meal with friends, including best friend and his wife. I was going to ask best friend if he would be my best man. We heard nothing from them, so I messaged him to ask if they would be coming. Here is the message I got back, word for word with names redacted. We won't be coming. This may come as a shock, but me and my wife have just had a massive argument, and I'm afraid it's over you. Ever since the day you put a pizza box on the floor in our flat and didn't apologize, it's been festering. She feels you have disrespected her, and by doing so, have also disrespected me. It's like you don't even care. It came to a head last week when you barely even acknowledged her. She's given me the ultimatum. It's either you or her. She's all I have left. After all we've been through, I cannot lose her. She isn't coming to the game anymore because she can't stand to be around you. This needs fixing. This was the first time the pizza box had been mentioned in 4 months. I was extremely apologetic, but best friend told me he didn't know how I could fix it. His wife refused to speak to me. I ended up writing a letter of apology. It was as nice and sincere as possible. There was a week of silence. My fiance messaged the wife about it, against my knowledge. She never replied and blocked my fiance. Eventually, best friend said they wouldn't forgive me. The letter of apology and message from my fiance had upset his wife so much she was not sleeping at night. I sent a reply saying, in my eyes, accidentally leaving a pizza box on the floor isn't a huge deal, not enough to cause this drama. I also told him that if it was such a big issue, then someone should have talked to me about it. I said I was walking away from the situation and that he knew where I was if he ever needed me. I haven't heard a word from either of them since. Well, what do you think? Was OP the jerk or not? Please let us know. I think the pizza box was just an excuse. Something much darker and sinister is going on here. Am I the jerk for saying my life is tougher than my sister's, who is a stay-at-home mom? I, female 28, am unmarried, and my sister, Susan, female 37, is a stay-at-home mom to 4 kids, who are 13, 11, 10, and 7. We stay in different states. She chose to become a stay-at-home mom to her 4 kids voluntarily. My brother-in-law earns very well, and they have quite a comfortable life, if that detail matters. Susan has always complained about how tough her life is, how hard it is to bring up her 4 kids, and has compared it to my easy life. While it has always rubbed me the wrong way, I've never really said anything, because undoubtedly, it really must be hard bringing up 4 kids. Over the past few years, despite my parents, my other sister Lisa, and I living in the same state, Susan has always demanded we go to her place for Christmas because managing the kids is too hard, and being a mom is incredibly difficult. Last year, I even suggested a retreat that would have been equally distant for her and us, but she refused, saying it was just too hard and I wouldn't understand since I don't have kids and am not married. This year, she expects me to make the trip to her place again. Lockdown, anyone? I refused. I may not have 4 kids, but I have an extremely stressful job. I work about 60 hours a week, and I also do not have financial security that she does to even risk taking a few days off and have a significant amount of student debt to pay off. I studied abroad, but am earning in a local currency, so the gap is even harder to bridge. Also, Lisa has some health issues, and therefore, I'm the one who does her grocery shopping and such because it's unsafe for her to venture out now. When Susan demanded Lisa, my parents, and I would have to come to her place again this year for Christmas, not to mention I'll have to drive and pay for fuel, I point blank refused. She screamed at me and told me I'm selfish and that I'd never know the amount of work it takes to be a mother and that it was no surprise no guy wanted to marry me. I also lost my temper and told her it isn't an achievement to give birth to 4 kids, that she doesn't have to worry about paying her rent or being able to afford her next meal, and there are plenty of life struggles that are tougher than having kids. Lisa is on my side, but she's always had a soft spot for me. My parents think I'm a huge jerk disrespecting Susan and are temporarily not speaking to me. So Reddit, I know it's hard to be a mom, but am I the jerk? We'll accept any judgment. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk or not? Please let us know.
I wouldn't be going to their house anyway. Susan sounds like quite the Karen.
Karen dumps cookies on the floor, gets forced to clean up after herself. The grocery store I work at instituted a policy that lets us stay open an hour later for medical professionals and emergency services. You know, nurses and the people who respond to 911 calls. We close to the general public at 9, and from 9 to 10 is supposed to be a time for the aforementioned people to come in and shop unobstructed. Also thought I'd mention that we open an hour early for senior citizens. Unfortunately, Karen had her own interpretation of this policy. We've got me. We've got entitled mom, Karen, typical haircut, mid-30s. We've got the manager, 6'5", easily 300 pounds, West African immigrant, not the type of guy you want to mess around with. It was 9:45 p.m., 15 minutes until close, and I was restocking eggs when entitled mom pushed her cart, filled to the brim with groceries. Her newborn baby was sitting in a car seat in the front of the cart. Entitled mom.
Ahem.
Me. Hello, ma'am. How can I help you?
Where are the cookies?
They're in aisle 12. Would you like me to take you to them?
Yes, that would be good.
Since aisle 12 is pretty far from the eggs, I decided to make some small talk, since we were trained to do that. Me. I think it's really great what you guys do for society. Entitled mom.
Thanks.
So, you are a nurse?
Oh no, I'm a mom. Moms are the most essential workers, wouldn't you think?
We weren't allowed to call people out for not being an EMT or something, so I agreed. We got to aisle 12, and she started taking cookies down from the shelf and putting them in her cart. As she was walking away from the shelf, she bumped it with her cart, and the entire shelf of cookies fell down. I had spent an entire hour leveling that shelf, and now all of my efforts were gone. And instead of apologizing and helping clean up, she said,
"Oops, I'd help, but I have to get going. My kids are waiting at home,"
and just walked away. Just to clarify, the shelf itself didn't fall down, but all the cookies did. I knelt in front of the pile of cookies, defeated. I started putting the cookies back up as her cart squeaked away. I would have gone after her, but my store is very committed to the whole "the customer is always right" thing. I started putting the cookies back up, which would honestly take another hour and a half because of the sheer amount of cookies on the floor. About 15 minutes in, my manager comes by and freaks out about the cookies, but then he realizes, TFLJ Martis wouldn't just knock down all the cookies, right? So he asked me, "What happened?" Me. Some lady bumped her cart into the shelf and everything fell down. Manager. What? Me. Yeah, so I'm cleaning it up. Don't worry, I'll be fast. Manager. Oh, heck no. Where did she go? Me. Down the aisle. He took off, like sprinting. I didn't follow him because I wanted to finish the cookies before my shift ended. So the following interaction is secondhand from one of the cashiers. He managed to catch her going out the doors with her cart full of groceries. This was about 10:05 now, past close. Manager. Hey, you.
Yes?
My stalker tells me you made a mess in my cookie aisle. Why?
I don't know what you mean. I wasn't even in the cookie aisle.
Manager. I can see the cookies in your cart.
I'm sorry? I need to go. I'm an essential worker.
Manager. What kind of worker?
A mom.
Manager. My mother, back in Nigeria, she worked 12 hours a day after my father passed, and she still had time afterwards to clean up her messes. Entitled mom.
No, really, I have to go.
Manager. Go clean up the cookies.
But who will watch my baby and my groceries? You can bring it with you, so your baby can learn how to take care of his own messes. Entitled mom reluctantly goes with manager and comes over to the cookie aisle where I'm still slaving away. Manager: TFLJ Martis, get up. Me: okay. Manager, turning to entitled mom: now clean up the mess. It took her until about 10:45, but it would have been a lot longer if manager hadn't felt sorry for her, and so he and I started helping her. At the end, she apologized to me and manager, and she actually paid for some of the broken packages. We helped her take her groceries to her car, where she apologized profusely again. I'm happy there was actually a good ending to this, and Karen ended up learning her lesson and apologized. I just wish it was like this for every Karen.
You definitely haven't seen this video yet, so come watch it next and we'll see you when you get there. And all I want for Christmas is for you to support our channel by joining as a channel member today. Do so, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. And to have us make any kind of video you'd like us to, just come visit us on Fiverr, link pinned in the comments below.